chapters on fundamental rights. He tells me, but you had independence in 1968, but this is a European constitution. Lots of fundamental rights in the European Union is in our constitution. But we will go further, because this was, what, 58 years ago? Things are moved. There are more rights, fundamental rights, that we have to include in that constitution, and we will do it. I think I will end, Madam Speaker, otherwise it will be too long, but I just want to say, Madam Leader of the Opposition and Madam Prime Minister of the Youth Parliament, after 2 days of deliberations here, you will learn what difference it is. It is easy to criticize, but to be in the arena, that is the difficulty. You must believe. My plea to you, you must have convictions and believe in them. Don't bend with the wind while popularity is swinging, you go that way. I see a lot of politicians do that. And I'm glad also, I just mentioned so many women here today. I'm the one who brought the, and I'm proud of it, the Equal Opportunity Act in Mauritius. Because equal opportunity, I tell people, it doesn't mean equality. We are not equal. God didn't create us equal. But what it does is gives you an equal opportunity to be part of the race. You don't have to win the race, but you must be able to participate in the race. That is what equal opportunity is about. Let me end by saying something. I was watching, I wasn't a great fan of him, but on television I saw him the other day, former President Ford. He said, do not let criticism stop you from doing what you think is right for your country. If you think you're right, do not let criticism upset your mental attitude. You have to have a strong mental attitude to be Prime Minister, by the way. Resolve of purpose. La politique, c'est d'abord avoir des convictions. That is the first thing you need to have. Et avoir le courage et la volonté d'aller jusqu'au bout. And I'm glad in your motion it resonates with our national anthem. As one people, as one nation, in peace, justice, and liberty. I wish you all the very best of deliberations. Thank you. And I'm glad to launch it.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for having shared your thoughts with us. Now, youngsters, we will be parting briefly because the Prime Minister will have to leave to go to Cabinet.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Let me... Voilà. Tu peux y aller. On s'écrit. On s'écrit.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, youngsters. I will also leave you until tomorrow, until a few minutes, I think. Only a few minutes.
The guest will be leaving first, and then you'll follow. Clément?
please.
Thank you. Members, please resume your seats. Declaration of the opening of the 5th edition of the National Youth Parliament. Mauritius National Assembly, National Youth Parliament. To declare the opening of the 5th edition of the National Youth Parliament. Whereas it has been recognized that the youth of the Republic of Mauritius are encouraged to be interested in the political, economic, and social affairs of the country. Whereas Madam Speaker of the Mauritius National Assembly has allowed that the chamber of the Mauritius National Assembly to be the seat of the 5th edition of National Youth Parliament. Now, therefore, I do hereby declare that the 5th edition of the National Youth Parliament shall take place in the chamber of the Mauritius National Assembly at Port Louis on Friday 28 and Saturday 29 August 2026. Declaration by members. We shall now proceed with a declaration by members of the National Youth Parliament. I now invite members of the Youth Parliament to rise and make the declaration.
We have been selected as members of the National Youth Parliament do declare that we will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of our knowledge, judgment, and abilities, discharge the duties and responsibilities of members of the National Youth Parliament that we are now about to assume.
Thank you, members. You may please resume your seats. Election of a Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. I will now invite 2 members to move and second the election of a member present in this Assembly, otherwise to be nominated to the office of Speaker and to take the chair of the National Youth Parliament.
Clerk, I move that Mr. Mohamed Rehan Odirat be elected Speaker of this National Youth Parliament.
I second the motion.
Is there any counter-proposal? Members, as there appears to be no counter-proposal, I declare Mr. Mohamed Rehan Odirat, present in the House, elected Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. And I invite him to come to the upper step to make the declaration, prescribed therefore, before this Assembly in the first instance, and then to take the chair.
I, Mr. Mohamed Rehan Odirat, having been elected as Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, do declare that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my knowledge, judgment, and ability, discharge the duties and responsibilities that I am now about to assume. Members, I assume this chair with a profound sense of duty, offering both sides of this House the firmest assurance of my absolute independence. To the best of my abilities, I shall rule firmly, judiciously, and without fear or favor. While this Assembly will inevitably witness fierce clashes of ideas, let us consistently elevate our debate and uphold the true nobility of our democracy. As guardian of our parliamentary decorum, my mandate is clear. I am bound to ensure the rigorous application of our standing orders and to uncompromisingly uphold the rule of law, a foundational principle to which every single member in this House, without exceptions, stands equally accountable. May our deliberations always serve the highest aspirations of our nation and be worthy of the trust placed in us. I thank you.
Election of a Deputy Speaker of a National Youth Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I move that MP Asha Devi Jutin be elected Deputy Speaker of this National Youth Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Is there any counter-proposals? As there appear to be no counter-proposal, I declare MP Asha Jutin Devi elected Deputy Speaker of the House. I offer her my sincere congratulations. I understand that the Deputy Speaker will address a few words to the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Firstly, I wish to extend my utmost congratulations to you for your election to this high office and to all the members of the National Youth Parliament. Further to my election as Deputy Speaker, which I believe to be by virtue of my strong integrity and fair judgment, I shall ensure that the responsibility that I have to be done with utmost humility and rigor, and ensure that the proceedings of this House be equitable and unbiased. This parliamentary experience so far proved to be exceptional and transformative. Today, it is the summum of our shared efforts in raising pressing issues, all while proposing innovative and inclusive solutions, all while furthering our engagement in civic activism. On this note, I wish to all members of this House a productive and successful session. I thank you.
Announcements? Announcements none. Papers? Papers none. Questions?
Leader of the Opposition, your private notice question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My first private notice question is addressed to the NYP Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tertiary Education, Science and Research. Whether in regard to the issue of brain drain of young motion graduates, he will state whether consideration will be given for same to be addressed through the implementation of appropriate measures in terms of A, legislative frameworks and targeted fiscal policies for the retention thereof, and B, bridging the gap between academic qualification and industry demands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of the Opposition. Deputy Prime Minister, your reply.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I also wish to thank the Leader of the Opposition for this pertinent question. Mauritius is not simply losing people to migration. We are at risk of losing skills that our education system and our economy have invested years in developing. The government's National Employment Policy 2024 to 2028 identifies human flight as a key labour market challenge and notes that over 70% of graduates who go abroad to study do not return. It also identifies the gap between tertiary education and the job market as a root cause of brain drain. At the same time, Statistics Mauritius recorded 10,800 unemployed young people aged 16 to 24 in the fourth quarter of 2025. LEAB n'est pas plus verte ailleurs. Our responsibility is to make sure that Mauritius gives our young people genuine reasons to believe that they can build a career, acquire expertise, innovate, progress, and succeed here. The Higher Education Act 2017 provides the legislative framework for higher education, while the list of indicative priority fields of study of the Higher Education Commission aligns tertiary provision with national priorities and labour market needs. We are building on these mechanisms to ensure that what we teach corresponds to what our economy requires. The HSC Graduate Tracer Study provides encouraging evidence, with 53% of graduates obtaining their first job within 3 months of graduation, and approximately 43% reporting a high level of relevance between their employment and their field of study. The Graduate Training for Employment scheme connects graduates, employers, and training providers, with budget 2026-2027 increasing the total support per graduate from 100,000 rupees to 120,000 rupees. The Youth Employment Programme has benefited 6,320 young graduates since 2015, of whom 60% subsequently secured permanent employment in the private sector. It currently covers those holding HSC qualifications and above, representing around 90% of young people registered with the Employment Information Centres, and the program being broadened further. We are also strengthening work-based learning through the dual training program, which combines classroom study with practical training in enterprises and is designed around employer needs. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are not preparing young people merely to receive qualifications, but to use them productively. The HRDC skills interface brings employers, training institutions, and the public sector together to identify emerging skills and recruitment difficulties. The Higher Education Commission is developing academia industry co-designed micro-credentials in areas including IT, AI, finance, tourism, human resources, and healthcare, supported by an operational framework for their development and recognition. Micro-credentials are also being integrated into the National Qualifications Framework, allowing learners to progressively build recognized competencies in response to changing industry requirements. This gives our education system the flexibility to adapt continuously to the economy, while allowing individuals to add new, industry-relevant skills throughout their careers. In parallel, government is strengthening the quality of training itself with amendments to the Mauritius Qualifications Authority Act, taking into account competency, teaching skills, and relevant industry experience in trainer registration. The objective is straightforward. Industry should help identify the skills the labour market needs, while higher education provides graduates with the knowledge, critical thinking, and adaptability to remain relevant as the economy evolves. An alignment must begin even before tertiary education. In June 2026, the HRDC launched the Career Insights Programme and Digital Career Cube, providing students from grade 8 to 13 with career information, industry exposure, labour market insights, and guidance on education, training, and career choices. This helps young people make informed decisions, not simply about what they want to study, but where that qualification can take them. At the national economic level, in June 2026 still, the Economic Development Board took forward an action plan following its workshop on skills gaps and labour shortages in the Mauritian labour market. Its priorities span industry-driven curricula, workforce retention, improved labour market intelligence, and a national workforce planning framework. This is the difference between reacting to tomorrow's skills shortages and preparing for them today. Mr. Speaker, sir, retention does not end when a graduate finds a job. It depends on whether Mauritius can offer the opportunities to keep developing and using that talent. The National Strategy for Higher Education, Science and Research 2025 to 2035 therefore strengthens the links between higher education and industry, promotes lifelong learning and recognition of prior learning, expands technical and vocational education and training pathways, and provides for stronger international partnerships and engagement with our scientific diaspora. The same approach applies to research. The National Research Strategy strengthens university-industry-government collaboration in research and development, including fiscal incentives for private sector participation in postdoctoral research. The Industry PhD model similarly connects advanced research with industry and commercial application. We are also preparing our graduates for the economy that is emerging. The current budget provides for practical AI training for 25,000 Mauritians, a national AI learning platform combining structured training with certification, and innovation scholarships of up to 500,000 rupees to seed funding for university students developing commercially viable projects. Monsieur le Président, ce ne sont pas des simples mesures éducatives, mais des mesures pour retenir nos talents. They create an environment in which highly skilled Mauritians can develop expertise, conduct research, innovate, commercialize ideas, and progress professionally. The proposed startup framework includes stronger startup support, a dedicated startup labor framework, and an income tax holiday of up to 10 years for qualifying startups. A graduate who cannot find the right opportunity should not only have two choices. There must be a third. Create the opportunity here. And when that graduate builds a successful enterprise, one retained graduate can become an employer for other graduates. This is why we are creating more reason for them to stay. Retention is also a shared responsibility. Employers have an important role in providing competitive remuneration, professional development, and credible progression pathways. Un emploi est un début, une carrière est un avenir. We are addressing that trajectory through education, training, innovation, entrepreneurship, research, and industry partnerships. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are making the existing mechanisms increasingly responsive to the needs of our economy. The list of indicative priority fields of study provides an important foundation. We will continue to make that list more responsive by taking account of employer demand, vacancies, persistent shortages, emerging sectors, and strategic national priorities. This will ensure that scholarships, training support, and research priorities are directed towards the skills Mauritius will need tomorrow, not only those it needs today. We are therefore moving towards a national workforce planning framework that brings these insights together to anticipate future skills and guide national education and training priorities accordingly. The objective is simple: anticipate the skills Mauritius will need before the shortage becomes a crisis. Prévenir est mieux que guérir. This also means strengthening professional pathways such as the Trainee Engineer Scheme, ensuring a clear journey from training to supervision, professional registration, and long-term employment. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also strengthening the relationship between Mauritius and its diaspora. The Mauritian Diaspora Scheme has facilitated the return of approximately 614 members, but our ambition goes further. A Mauritian who has acquired scarce expertise abroad should, where appropriate, have access to relocation assistance, professional recognition, employment matching, research opportunities, or business facilitation. Indeed, our Mauritian experts abroad remain part of our national community, as one people, as one nation. We will recognize their contribution and create avenues for them to support national development. The National e-Diaspora platform, provided for in the latest budget, will help harness diaspora expertise in support of national priorities. The budget also provides for an amendment to the Public Procurement Act to allow public bodies to directly engage qualified diaspora experts for specialized services. Mr. Speaker, sir, not every Mauritian abroad will return permanently. That does not mean Mauritius cannot benefit from their expertise. This is where we move from brain drain to brain circulation. A scientist abroad can supervise a research student here. A technology professional can advise a Mauritian startup. An entrepreneur can invest here. Through transnational employment, research, teaching, consultancy, entrepreneurship, and investment, Mauritian expertise can continue to circulate between Mauritius and the world. Physical departure does not have to mean intellectual departure. We are creating channels through which the knowledge, networks, capital, and expertise of Mauritians abroad can continue contributing to the national development. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, the objective is not to make our young people choose between ambition and Mauritius. It is to make Mauritius a place where ambition can be pursued. A graduate should see a path from qualification to relevant employment, from employment to progression, and from progression to a career worth staying for. And for those who leave, the relationship with Mauritius should not end at the airport. We want them to have reasons to stay, reasons to return, and reasons to remain connected. Mr. Speaker, sir, the ultimate objective is not merely to prevent a young Mauritian from leaving, it is to build a Mauritius that he or she chooses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Leader of the Opposition, your supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, the Minister has stated that l'herbe n'est pas plus verte ailleurs. Mais la vraie question, Monsieur le Président, est-ce que le gouvernement prend réellement soin de l'herbe qui est dans son pays? Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Minister elaborate on how the government will ensure the different ministries and agencies to work together rather than addressing brain drain in complete isolation? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister, your reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is precisely why we are moving towards a more integrated approach. Brain drain does not originate from one single factor, and therefore no single ministry can address it alone. Education must align with labour market needs, employment policies must facilitate the transition into work, economic policies must create high-value opportunities, research and innovation policies must allow talent to progress, and diaspora policies must keep our Mauritian expertise connected to the country. The National Workforce Planning Framework is particularly important in this regard because it brings together labour market intelligence to inform education, training, and employment priorities. Government will continue to coordinate these interventions, assess their outcomes, and take the necessary measures to ensure that our policies respond to the evolving aspirations of our young people and the needs of our economy. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are not measuring success by the number of programs we operate, but by the opportunities and outcomes they create for our young people. Thank you.
As there appears to be no more supplementary questions, we will now move to the Prime Minister's question time. That is questions addressed to the Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communication, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Island. MP Sital.
Mr. Speaker, sir, B1.
Prime Minister, your reply.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, ocean distance is a geographical fact, but it must not be an economic or social divide. My government is committed to concrete action, and we propose targeted exchange programs to bridge this very gap. First, we propose to adopt key elements from Japan's One Village, One Product model to establish a Republic Craft and SME corridor. This proposed initiative will create logistics and digital marketplace channels for Rodriguan agribusinesses and outer island cooperatives to supply mainland tourism hubs directly. Furthermore, to enhance technical capacity, we propose the Ocean Economy Apprenticeship Scheme. Under this framework, young mainland professionals in marine conservation will complete field postings in Rodrigues and Agaliga, while island youth will receive fully funded training at the Mauritius Maritime Training Academy. On the cultural and educational front, we propose to implement a structured mobility framework modeled on the European Union's Erasmus Plus program. We intend to launch National Inter-Island Mobility Program to fund accredited exchange residencies for secondary and tertiary students. Our objective is to allow over 1,500 students annually to study and participate in civic projects across the different islands of our republic. Central to this mobility framework is an annual inter-island arts and cultural residency. We propose bringing together Rodriguan, Agaligan, and mainland artists, historians, and musicians for semester-long collaborative immersions. Rather than treating island tradition as peripheral folklore, this residency will serve as an active production engine. Works created during this exchange, spanning local literature, historical research, and traditional music, will be formalized and integrated directly into our national school curriculum, spanning primary and secondary levels. Every child in our republic, whether studying in Mayberg, Beaumaturin, or 25, will learn from textbooks and creative works that reflect the unified history of all our islands. Additionally, we propose to leverage the Mars submarine fiber optic cable in Rodrigues and Agaliga to establish shared digital classrooms following the same principle as Scotland's eSchool, created in 2016 to overcome teacher shortages across its own scattered island communities. We show that once genuine connectivity is in place, geography no longer has to determine which subjects a pupil can learn or from which teacher they learn, so that pupils on our outer island who have long faced a narrower pool of resident teachers and a more limited choice of subjects can take part in live lessons, examination revisions, delivered in real time from schools across the Republic. Mr. Speaker, sir, through these specific proposals, this government intends to take measurable steps to ensure that every citizen, regardless of their country of residence, has equal access to the growth and identity of our Republic. Comme l'énonce notre cher hymne national, nous voici tous debout, en un seul peuple, une seule nation. Et c'est exactement cela que compte réaliser mon gouvernement. Merci.
Next question, MP Siwugulam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B2.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Age must not be a dividing line in how a republic plans for its own safety and its own future. My government proposes structured mechanisms to bring senior citizens and youth organizations into the same room, onto the same boards, and into the same exact decisions. First, we propose to establish a statutory interagency council for community resilience, modeled on the Public Service Board created under Wales Wellbeing of Future Generation Act. In Wales, this mechanism legally obliges local authorities, health boards, police, and fire services to sit together with community representatives when setting local objectives, ensuring no single agency plans is in isolation. We propose to adapt this model for Mauritians by placing the Ministry of Social Security, the Mauritius Police Force, the National Coast Guard, and the Ministry of Environment on a single statutory board, with permanent equal seats reserved for senior citizens federations and registered youth organizations. To anchor this council and give it real teeth, we further propose to appoint an ombudsperson for intergenerational affairs, echoing the Future Generations Commissioner in Wales, who serves as a guardian for those whose interests are otherwise easily overlooked in short-term policymaking. This ombudsperson will chair the council, publish annual compliance audits, and mediate directly when an agency fails to give proper effect to the combined voices of our youth and elders. Second, on community safety and social welfare, we propose the National Bridge Corps, adapting Singapore's Silver Generation Office model into a two-way intergenerational partnership. Under this framework, trained young Mauritians will conduct structured home and community visits to seniors, connecting them directly to available welfare schemes, assisting with digital public services, and flagging health or isolation concerns to relevant authorities. In return, this outreach creates a direct channel for intergenerational mentorship across our village and municipal councils, that young people learn from the lived history of our elders while serving them. Third, on climate resilience, we propose an annual national intergenerational dialogue on climate and health, modeled directly on the initiative conceived by the government of Samoa with the Commonwealth Foundation for Small Island Developing States. This program pairs our elders' traditional ecological knowledge, their long memory of shifting coastlines, soil erosion, and changing weather patterns with youth-led climate resilience, digital mapping, and international advocacy. Its joint recommendations will be tabled formally before the Parliament and Interagency Council, ensuring that this intergenerational exchange becomes a binding nation of national policy. Monsieur le Président, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry a écrit dans Le Petit Prince, « Les grandes personnes ne comprennent jamais rien toutes seules. Et c'est fatigant pour les enfants de toujours leur donner des explications. My government does not intend for either generation to carry that burden of explanation alone. For these measures, the wisdom of our elders and the clarity of our youth will meet in the same forum, informing one another rather than passing each other by. Thank you.
Next question, MP Bola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Be free.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the proliferation of synthetic drugs is a national emergency that strikes at the heart of our republic, our youth. In 2022, our public health institutions recorded 1,008 admissions for drug use complications. Nearly 66% of these admissions were young people between the ages of 15 and 34. Furthermore, over 80% of these cases were driven by new psychoactive substances and heroin. Face à ce fléau, l'État assume pleinement ses responsabilités. On the financial architecture for community-based care, the primary funding engine is the National Social Inclusion Foundation. For the NSIF, the government strategically channels corporate social responsibility funds collected by the Mauritius Revenue Authority directly to registered NGOs operating rehabilitation centers. In 2022 alone, 1,862 new patients sought treatment at NGO-run centers. Facilities such as Centre Solidarité, Chrysalide, and others rely heavily on this state-structured funding to run their inpatient and daycare programs. While international donor funding for harm reduction has shrunk globally, our government has decisively stepped up. Mauritius now domestically funds 80% of all local harm reduction programming, shielding our youth facilities from international financial volatility. Second, regarding public infrastructure and medical standardization, the Ministry of Health and Wellness currently operates 5 addiction units across the islands, which recently managed 4,663 follow-up cases with an average of 389 monthly visits. However, synthetic drug addiction requires highly specific detoxification. Unlike our newly published National Drug Master Plan, We have ring-fenced specific government budget allocations to upgrade these addiction units and recruit specialized addictologists. Crucially, the master plan introduces the strict national standards and licensing for rehabilitation centers. State funding is now critically strict upon adhering to evidence-based medical and psychological care protocols. Third, we are planning to improve the NADEC agency to implement a national synthetic drug early warning and rapid response system with a 72-hour response rate. This would connect hospitals, rehabilitation centers, police and NGOs, and forensic labs to quickly report and identify new synthetic drugs. Once a substance is detected, NADEC would aim to assess the risk and issue an official warning within these 72 hours. This would help Mauritius move from reacting to synthetic drug problems to detecting and alleviating emerging threats at an early stage. Monsieur le Président, se relever de l'addiction aux drogues synthétiques est un parcours éprouvant et douloureux. C'est un combat de tous les jours pour ces jeunes et leurs familles, une épreuve qui déchire le tissu social de notre pays. À travers ces initiatives, nous veillons à ce que nos ressources financières soient à la hauteur de cette crise nationale. L'avenir de notre jeunesse n'a pas de prix et notre engagement financier reflète cette conviction absolue. Merci.
Next question, Opposition Whip, MP Eradu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, B4.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it takes decades of patient statesmanship to build a peaceful, multi-ethnic republic like Mauritius, but it takes an anonymous coward behind a keyboard less than 30 seconds to light a communal fire. Monsieur le Président, un clavier ne doit pas devenir un détonateur social. In that light, my government is deploying a balanced three-pronged strategy. First, on institutional and statutory frameworks, we are taking decisive action against coordinated, inauthentic behavior without expanding state censorship. When fake profile networks or bot accounts weaponize platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and WhatsApp to incite communal tension, the cybercrime unit of the Mauritius Police Force and 3rd MU trigger fast-track escalation protocols with global tech platforms to trace IP footprints and remove dangerous content. Legally, we draw a clear line. Criticizing a minister, a policy, or a government is legitimate democratic debate, but weaponizing racial slurs or inciting violence violates Section 282 of the Criminal Code, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, and Section 46 of the ICT Act. To prevent any abuse of power, the executive does not act as a judge or jury. Every case is subject to independent police investigation, review by the Director of Public Prosecutions, and final adjudication by our courts. Second, on educational initiatives and digital defense, prohibition alone cannot solve a digital problem. The ultimate shield is an educated, critical citizenry. Consider a young student scrolling through social media who encounters a manipulated post or deep fake designed to stoke division. Without digital literacy, that content is shared instantly. To stop this cycle, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of IT, has introduced digital citizenship and media literacy into our secondary school curriculum directly across the Republic. We are teaching young people to verify sources, spot algorithmic manipulation, and post before hitting share. In parallel, the National Human Rights Commission runs nationwide campaigns to promote digital ethics and intergroup respect. Third, on addressing socioeconomic polarization, we recognize that online hate speech takes root when underlying economic anxieties are exploited. When families face economic pressures, opportunistic agitators attempt to convert those frustrations into communal finger-pointing. We are closing those fractures at the source. For the Equal Opportunities Commission and its tribunal, we are strictly investigating and penalizing discrimination in recruitment, training, and public services. Furthermore, state resources allocated for the National Social Inclusion Foundation are distributed strictly using objective data through poverty mapping, ensuring support reaches vulnerable families in every region, regardless of the background. Mr. Speaker, sir, freedom of expression is the lifeblood of our parliamentary democracy, but it cannot be weaponized to cheat on the very society that guarantees it. Thus, this government is keeping our digital space and our republic standing as one unified nation. Thank you.
Yes, Opposition Whip, your supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, my supplementary question is very simple. The Prime Minister has addressed the fact that hate speech is a huge issue in our country. However, I would also add on to my said question that why does sometimes, whenever anyone else has a contrarian view compared to the government, it is often viewed as hate speech? Why, whenever we have a contrarian ideology, that it always ends in assault? Why does it feel like, despite having freedom of speech,
Member, you cannot ask for the opinion of the Prime Minister. Your supplementary question should only be used to elucidate from the main question, not the opinion of the Prime Minister. You cannot be imputing motives while answering the question.
All right. So
I will allow another supplementary question,
Yes.
but avoid from making such imputation of motives and be straight to the point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Simply, in long story short, that what I'm trying to say to the Prime Minister is, how can we clarify that someone who's expressing their freedom of speech isn't viewed as hate speech and it doesn't de-escalate to a country being divided instead of united as the Republic of Mauritius? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, can the member please repeat their question more clearly?
Opposition Whip.
Okay, no issues at all. Simply due to the fact that over the recent months we have seen that our population, despite expressing themselves in the form of freedom of speech, we often see that it is often repeated or shown in media that it is a form of hate speech. How can the Prime Minister ensure that this idea of freedom of speech is not being violated or manipulated in another way or form? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, member, for your question. What my government is planning to do is that we are going to draw the line at that incitement, not the offense. Most democracies protect speech that's unpopular or divisive in content, but not speech that incites imminent violence or lawless action. For instance, countries like Germany or Canada go further by criminalizing this very speech that promotes hatred against protected groups, trading some speech freedom for social cohesion. So this is what we're going to implement as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, MP Kauliso Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B5, please.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, crime in the 21st century has undoubtedly evolved. Today, a smartphone can be weaponized to draw a pensioner's lifetime savings through sophisticated online fraud or to terrorize a young student through relentless cyber harassment. Monsieur le Président, la technologie a aboli les distances, mais elle ne doit jamais abolir la loi. First, on law enforcement capacity and technical forensics, we are transforming the cybercrime unit of Mauritius Police Force from a reactive investigating body into an advanced digital intelligence division. Cyber fraud syndicates operate using sophisticated encryption, spoofed IP address, and decentralized financial channels. To match this threat, we have upgraded our digital forensic laboratory with high-speed forensic extraction tools and AI-driven data analytics capable of processing complex digital evidence for court presentation. Furthermore, because cyber criminals operate across borders, Mauritius leverages its accession to the Council of Europe's Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. Through real-time operational channels like Interpol and Afripol, our investigators execute cross-border intelligence sharing, tracing fraudulent financial flows and dismantling international phishing networks that target Mauritian citizens. Second, on legislative agility and prosecutorial readiness, robust technical tools require an equally sharp statutory framework. Under the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act, we have empowered law enforcement with statutory authority to obtain expedited data preservation orders, digital search warrants, and real-time production orders from the courts. However, digital evidence is delicate. We have established specialized training programs in collaboration with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to train police officials in maintaining a flawless electronic chain of custody, ensuring that online frauders, identity thieves, and digital extortionists cannot escape convictions on procedural technicalities. Third, on youth protection and combating online harassment, we recognize that our young people are the primary targets of digital predators, cyberbullying, and non-consensual image distribution. Cyber harassment is not a mere mischief. It inflicts our psychological trauma. To protect our youth, CERT Mauritius operates a dedicated 24/7 incident reporting portal, working directly alongside the Police Family Protection Unit and global platform administrators like Meta, TikTok, and Google to execute rapid takedowns of illicit contents and identify perpetrators. Simultaneously, through joint initiatives between the Ministry of IT and the Ministry of Education, we have deployed school-based cyber safety modules across secondary schools, teaching students how to secure their personal data, spot online grooming, and report harassment instantaneously. Mr. Speaker, our citizens must be as safe on their screens as they are on our street, and this is what my government is aiming to do. Thank you.
Next question, MP Jita.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B6.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the honourable member raises a question that strikes the very core of our sovereignty. How a small island republic secures an ocean territory of over 2 million square kilometres. Let me be clear. A foreign vessel that deliberately switches off its automatic identification system going dark in our waters is a vessel with something to hide, whether it be illegal, unreported, or unregulated fishing or transnational trafficking. To answer the honourable member directly, yes, National Coast Guard is equipped to monitor these incursions, but they do not rely on a single line of sight. My government has deployed a layered maritime domain awareness strategy where advanced technology, physical assets, and regional alliances compensate for the vastness of our ocean. At the national level, our first line of defense is the fusion of space-based data with sovereign patrol assets. When a vessel turns off its transponder, it disappears from standard screens, but it cannot hide its physical mass from space. We are actively cross-referencing our vessel monitoring system with satellite radar imagery. When a satellite detects a physical steel mass on the water, but our screen shows no transmitting transponder, the system immediately flags a dark target. Once identified, the Maritime Air Squadron deploys our Dornier and Defender aircraft to secure visual coordinates, guiding our heavy surface level fleet, guided by the CGS Barracuda and CGS Vigilant, alongside our high-speed interceptors to close in and intercept. However, technology and national surface fleets alone cannot cover 2.3 million square kilometers simultaneously. Therefore, our second layer of monitoring is anchored in a highly integrated regional security architecture. Under the UN-funded MAZE program, whenever a vessel is flagged as suspicious, its data is instantly shared with the Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center in Madagascar, which coordinates directly with the Regional Coordination Operations Center in Seychelles. If a dark vessel attempts to outrun our fleet, we can call upon the closest partner state ASEP to intercept it. We systematically multiply our presence for joint EEZ surveillance with the French armed forces in the southern Indian Ocean and the Indian Navy. Our ocean is vast, but for these alliances, we are making it very small for illicit traffickers. Yet, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will be candid with the House. Detection is only as effective as the legal bite that follows it. A vessel identified from space is of little use if an interception yields evidence that cannot be used swiftly in court. Accordingly, we are tightening this operational gap. We are maintaining specific National Coast Guard interceptors on high readiness alerts explicitly for dark vessel response. Concurrently, we are working with the Attorney General's Office and the Fisheries Protection Services to modernize our evidentiary framework, ensuring that satellite imagery and radio frequency are legally authorized to secure swift convictions. À ceux qui croient pouvoir piller nos eaux maritimes dans l'ombre, le message de ce gouvernement est clair. Éteindre vos transpondeurs ne vous rend pas invisible. Cela fait de vous notre cible prioritaire. L'océan est immense, mais la souveraineté de la République y règne sans partage. Merci.
Members, time is over. We'll now move to parliamentary questions addressed to ministers. MP Johur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Question B/7.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the member for raising such an important question concerning the cost of accommodation for our diplomats serving abroad. The government recognizes that our diplomats represent Mauritius in some of the world's most expensive cities. Their accommodation is not simply a private matter. It has implications for public expenditure, the security of our representatives, the dignity of the state, and ultimately, the effectiveness of our foreign policy. Let me therefore state clearly that the government will give consideration to the acquisition of state-owned properties for residential purposes for our diplomats, where such acquisition is demonstrated to be economically, operationally, and strategically effective. This, however, must be done responsibly. Mauritius currently maintains a substantial diplomatic network. According to the ministry's latest annual report on performance, Mauritius is represented through 19 diplomatic missions, 1 consulate general, and 1 consulate. These missions are important instruments not only for diplomacy, but also for trade promotion, investment attraction, consular assistance, and the protection of Mauritius' interests abroad. The question before us is therefore not simply, should we buy houses instead of renting them? The proper question is, where does ownership provide better value to the Mauritian taxpayer over the long term? There are circumstances in which purchasing a property can be financially more rational than paying rent indefinitely. A state-owned residence becomes a long-term public asset. It can provide greater control over security and location, reduce exposure to rental market fluctuations, and potentially retain a residual value when a diplomat completes his or her posting. Furthermore, Mauritius is not starting from zero. The government's 2025 and 2026 public sector investment program already provides for substantial investment in overseas properties. These include the construction of a High Commissioner's residence in New Delhi, construction of Chancery and staff residences in Madagascar, upgrading of the Chancery House and staff residence in New Delhi, upgrading of the High Commissioner's residence in London, renovation of a staff residence in Paris, and works at the Chancery in Brussels. The listed project values amount to approximately 197 million rupees. This demonstrates that the principle of the investing in foreign properties is already within our public investment framework. But Mr. Speaker, sir, ownership must never become an excuse for uncontrolled expenditure. Mauritius's public debt stood at approximately 86% of gross domestic product at the end of June 2025, according to the International Monetary Fund. The IMF has also projected real gross domestic product growth of 2.8% for 2026, while warning of significant downside risks. These realities require us to distinguish between expenditure that merely becomes public money and investment that creates durable public value. Accordingly, a three-part approach has been sought of. Firstly, every proposed acquisition should be supported by a proper life cycle cost analysis: purchase price, financing costs, expected rent avoided, maintenance, insurance, taxation, security requirements, and eventual resale value. Secondly, priority should be given to high rent and strategically important locations, particularly where Mauritius expects long-term diplomatic presence and where repeated rental expenditure makes ownership economically compelling. Thirdly, acquisitions must be subject to transparent procurement, independent valuation, security assessment, and appropriate financial approval. So, Mr. Speaker, our policy should not be buy everywhere, nor should it be rent forever. It should be buy where the numbers justify buying and rent where renting remains more economical, but always protect the interest of the Mauritian taxpayers. Our diplomats deserve a safe and appropriate accommodation, but the taxpayer deserves something equally important, and that is value for money, transparency, and prudent stewardship of public assets. That is the balance that our government intends to achieve. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for your answer. Mr. Speaker, there are millions of rupees of taxpayers' money being spent on those embassies.
Member, please refrain from making any statements. Put your question directly.
Mr. Speaker, those are not statements. Those are taxpayers' money being spent.
This is a statement, Minister. Member, please resume your seat. I will not allow my authority to be questioned. Please put your question directly.
All right. Could the Minister, as a quick measure, please state whether she could cut costs on those embassies?
Thank you. Yes, Minister.
Thank you for your question. So definitely, our goal is not to own properties in very high expensive properties. Our goal is to provide safe and secure accommodation to our diplomats, but at the same time at a value for money, like I said, because a mission that a diplomat is posted for, it may generate economic, diplomatic, or even consular benefits that we do not capture them simply by looking at them. So any decision that we make, it should be maintained or closed so that therefore the decision can be based on a more comprehensive assessment of our economic interests. Basically, we have to make sure that what we are investing in is for the long term, and in case where we do not have, in certain countries where we are not allowed to own properties, we have to then bascule on renting. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Next question, MP Murugupa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B8.
Minister of Financial Service and Economic Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank the MP for her question, which is of tenacious importance to the future of our financial services sector. Let me begin with a simple point, Mr. Speaker, sir. In 2025, the financial services contributed 13.3% to our GDP. This is a sector that is becoming increasingly sophisticated. If Mauritius intends to move up the value chain, then we need people capable of taking us there. This is precisely why the Financial Services Strategy 2025-2030 places addressing skill shortages as one of its 5 strategic pillars. Our first response, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to develop that talent. The FSI, that is the Financial Services Institute Limited, founded in 2018, has a very clear purpose: to strengthen the skills of our nation and increase the employability of our people, and to build a pipeline of talent for the financial services sector. Today, FSI reports having trained over 19,000 professionals, delivered over 500 programs, and served over 400 employers, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is not training for name's sake. Its programs now cover the areas in which our financial center is heading towards, across 10 clusters, from banking and financial intermediation to capital markets, just to name a few. Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot train young Mauritians for yesterday's financial center and expect them to build tomorrow's. Talent development does not begin on the first day of employment. The strategy, therefore, proposes stronger alignment between our education industry and evolving needs of the financial sector, including scholarships, internships, career fairs, and certified modular training programs. Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot expect a young Mauritian to choose a career they have never been shown before. We have already seen this industry-to-youth approach through initiatives such as the Mauritius Finance National Training and Reskilling Scheme. In 2021, 120 unemployed job seekers were offered a 5-month placement in the financial leading services companies with specialized training in fund industries and AML, with the possibility of full-time permanent job thereafter. Mr. Speaker, sir, we were not simply putting young people through a course and handing a certificate. We were putting them in a room where the real work begins. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, training someone to become employable is only half the job. The only half is giving them a reason to stay. That is where the retention component of Vision 2030 becomes important. The strategy envisages international placements to build global expertise and bring it back home. It also seeks to reconnect our diaspora with high-value opportunities in Mauritius. Parce qu'au fond, Monsieur le Président, retenir nos talents ne signifie pas leur demander de rester, il signifie leur donner une raison de rester. Mr. Speaker, sir, the objective is not simply to produce more graduates. It is to develop the right skills, the right exposure, and the right career ladder for them to remain and progress. I will not stand here, Mr. Speaker, sir, and dress up ambition as achievement. A strategy on paper has never trained a single actuary. A certificate by itself has never convinced a talented Mauritian to stay. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, by 2030, our measure of success is simple. Mauritians trained, Mauritians placed, and Mauritians retained. Because our ambition cannot be to prepare our young people for the worst financial center. Our ambition must be to prepare them to lead our own. We should not be measuring how many Mauritians are qualified to leave. Rather, we should measure how many young Mauritians are qualified to lead. This is not a slogan we are offering to this House, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is a target my ministry is putting its name to. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Minister has stated many talent retention strategies. I want to ask her, how will her ministry ensure that its talent development strategies create sufficient high-value career opportunities for the young Mauritians? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, so thank you. I thank the MP for her supplementary question. As I've mentioned in my speech about the 10 clusters that the FSI are providing programs are, it is a vast sector, Mr. Speaker, sir. As long as our sector remains dynamic, more opportunities will be there. It is not about retention. We can give programs to attract the young Mauritians. Mauritius doesn't have a lack of talent or opportunities. It just needs to curate our young members into seeing what Mauritius has to offer. We have the opportunities as long as we have a financial services sector that is strong. And the opportunities is in the programs that the FSI is currently providing. Just to name a few, from insurance, banking, financial intermediation, capital markets, there's so much more. But if our young does not extend the hand, we can only do so much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next question, MP Gokul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B9.
Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, cleanliness is not cosmetic. It is consequential. It is about public health, dignity, and the quality of life of our communities. Government is therefore taking concrete actions to keep our communities clean, maintained, and hygienic. Mr. Speaker, local authorities are keeping our streets clean and our public spaces in order through regular collection of household, commercial, and agricultural waste, generally weekly, with more frequent services in certain localities and special scavenging when required. However, Mr. Speaker, their mandate goes beyond collection. Road, public spaces, and waterways are regularly cleansed and maintained, while recurring problem areas from obstructed drains to unmaintained lands are addressed, including through enforcement where necessary. And to ensure that action is matched by delivery, Mr. Speaker, government is strengthening the operational capacity of local authorities through the procurement of modern equipment, including compactor and tipper lorries, alongside the staffing required to put that capacity to work. Because a clean Mauritius does not work on promises, it works on capacity, coordination, and action. Mr. Speaker, these efforts are not meant to be a one-off response to a dirty space or an overflowing site. The objective is sustained cleanliness, keeping our communities clean before problems accumulate. That is why, Mr. Speaker, cleaning and embellishment form part of the regular programs of our local authorities, reinforced by the Clean Up Mauritius program for 2026-2027, backed by 200 million rupees. The program provides for cleaning and embellishment of public sites, bulky waste collections, clearing of barelands, and the cleaning and desilting of drains and rivers. Where additional support is required, Mauri Facilities reinforces local authorities through targeted cleaning and sanitation operations. And, Mr. Speaker, targeted cleaning is not about chasing the same problem forever. It is about restoring these areas while the wider measures tackle the causes that allow the problem to return. Because when it comes to cleanliness, prevention is cheaper than neglect, and consistency is stronger than a cleanup after the fact. Mr. Speaker, sustaining hygiene requires a more preventive approach, one that addresses not only existing issues, but also the conditions that allow them to recur. Deratization and baiting are being intensified, with interventions covering the entire towns and villages rather than isolated areas. Additional cleaning and flushing are also being carried out in markets and public areas, while health inspectorate offices of local authorities are receiving training to strengthen sanitary and public health measures. Looking ahead, Mr. Speaker, government is also moving towards waste segregation at source by 2027, shifting from simply collecting waste to managing it better from the moment it is produced. And, Mr. Speaker, this is where I believe our approach must change. For too long, the mentality has been someone dumps, the council cleans. Someone dumps again, the council cleans again. This is simply not sustainable. That is why our government is combining public awareness, community engagement, and enforcement at local level. Because enforcement without education will only take us so far, and education without enforcement will not take us far enough. Et au fond, Monsieur le Président, la propreté de nos communautés est l'affaire de tous. Mr. Speaker, a cleaner Mauritius is not built by one cleanup, one program, or by one institution. It is built street by street, village by village, and community by community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, you're reminded to keep your reply brief and direct to the point because we're short of time. And please, members, refrain from going out of the chamber at once because it is disrupting the flow of the debate. Next question, MP Gajador.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B10.
Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the MP for the question, which touches on a core mission of my ministry, breaking the intergenerational cycle of poverty by equipping young people from vulnerable households with the tools to pursue higher education or find sustainable employment. Mr. Speaker, sir, every household registered on the Social Register of Mauritius, that is the SRM, signs a social contract with my ministry, committing to case management and empowerment activity in return for support. Through this framework, my ministry, together with its implementing arms, the National Empowerment Foundation and the National Social Inclusion Foundation, delivers a comprehensive set of targeted schemes for young SRM beneficiaries. On income support, the subsistence allowance provided monthly assistance to 7,336 SRM households, benefiting 28,722 individuals in the last fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry currently operates 5 educational support schemes. The Child Allowance Scheme, a monthly stipend for SRM children aged 3 to 23 attending schools, supported 6,035 beneficiaries. The School Material Scheme, which provides school supplies to SRM children, supported 12,427 children. The School Premium Scheme rewards examination success at grade 9, school certificate, high school certificate, and tertiary level. The Free Examination Fee Scheme, which covers the cost of SC and HSC and HSC retakes, supported 118 students, and the waiver of MITD and public tertiary institution fee for SRM youth supported 60 students. Beyond educational support, to facilitate the transition of beneficiaries towards greater economic independence, my ministry has put in place 2 key skill development and empowerment schemes. The Training and Placement Scheme, popularly known as the Startup Kit Program, provided vocational training and startup toolkits to 184 unemployed SRM youth. And the Life Enhancement Education Program, which builds skills such as communication, self-esteem, and family values. On contemporary family and welfare support, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Unveiling Talent Program gave 229 SRM children access to structured cultural and sport events. Beyond this scheme, the SRM registered young persons are also eligible on the same basis as other citizens for National Employability Program coordinated through the government's Career Guidance Unit, including the Youth Empowerment Program. Mr. Speaker, sir, beyond my own ministry, the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology operates a scholarship for children from vulnerable families scheme, which grants tertiary level scholarships specifically to students from social register households. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I firmly believe, l'aide doit être un tremplin, jamais une dépendance. Our social contract must therefore be more than a safety net. It must be a pathway to opportunity, dignity, and independence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, sir, many eligible families face long administrative delays to get registered on the social register. What step is the ministry taking to streamline this process so that our young people do not miss out on our support that they need? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, for beneficiaries of the social register, the National Empowerment Foundation uses a case management approach, monitoring beneficiaries' progress and changes in their social and economic situation. Under the National Skill Development Program, the Human Resource Development Council also follow up on training and placement. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will be transparent to the House. We do not yet have a single published system catering for long-term placement rate in higher skill sector concerning young beneficiaries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, MP, your supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The honourable member is emphasising a lot on young SRM schemes. My question to the Minister would be, what measures are in place to ensure these young persons are made aware of the opportunities available to them? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I currently do not have the information concerning this matter. I would wave it back to the MP. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Next question, MP Munka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B11.
Minister of Education and Human Resources.
Mr. Speaker, sir, should education prepare a child merely for the next examination, or should it prepare that child for life? For this government, the answer is clear. Yes. Consideration is being given to further strengthening holistic education so that our learners develop cognitively, socially, emotionally, and physically, rather than being defined solely by examination results. And that is not merely an intention for tomorrow. The government has already laid the foundations. At primary level, the holistic education program has broadened learning beyond conventional academics to embrace physical education, values, creativity, music, dance, and drama, supported by trained holistic educators. Our curriculum also recognizes the 21st century competencies, because knowing is important, but knowing what to do with what we know is just as important. The government has also recognized that education must care for the child behind the textbook. For ZP's friends, primary pupils develop socially and emotionally, while Natation Scolaire develops swimming and water safety skills. Because some lessons are learned from the book, while others must be lived. At secondary level, outdoor education, inter-college sports, and the Duke of Edinburgh International Award allow young people to develop through teamwork, leadership, service, and experience. Even assessment reflects this broader vision. Through school-based assessment and continuous assessment, we recognize a simple truth. Not everything worth developing can be measured on an examination paper. These are not isolated initiatives. They represent one direction, moving from merely measuring the child to developing the child. And that brings me to a fundamental distinction. There is a difference in being properly instructed and being properly educated. A learner may master the syllabus and excel in examination. That learner may be exceptionally well instructed. But education must go beyond instruction. True education rests upon knowledge, skills, and experience. It must prepare a learner for simply an examination, but life as well, where there is no marker scheme to follow and no answer at the back of the book. Because, Mr. Speaker, sir, a child is not a percentage. A result can measure performance, but it cannot define potential. And not every brilliant mind shines the same way. One learner may shine through the math or science, another through art, or another through music, sport, leadership, or service. Our responsibility is not to make every child shine in the same way. It is to give every child the opportunity to discover where they shine. Going forward, the government will continue strengthening holistic education and the 21st century competencies while maintaining rigorous academics. Because holistic education is not an alternative to academic excellence. It completes it. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the answer is yes. The government has already acted across the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical dimensions, and we will continue strengthening this approach. Ultimately, the legacy of education must be greater than a percentage printed on a certificate. It must live in the knowledge, skills, and experience our learners carry into life, and ultimately in the human beings they become. That is why we move beyond instructing a generation and truly begin educating one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
SMP, your supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. How does the Minister confirm that the introduction of holistic activities would not affect the continuity of the syllabus?
Yes, Minister.
In my ministry, we have trained experts that will analyze how many hours of school should be allocated to the syllabus, how many hours should we allocate to the activity? Because as I've mentioned, holistic education is not just going to school and learning math or learning English. It's about education, to me, is a social interaction. The school is a social place to interact socially. So I have experts in my ministry that will analyze how many hours to allocate to the studies, how many hours to allocate to activities. So this is how my ministry ensures that we develop the child as a whole person. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
Can the Minister tell us how are teachers being trained and supported to implement a more holistic approach to education? And if there is a program also, where have we reached with the program? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
I do believe that there are experts from international organizations that come and train the teachers. That's why there are workshops that are organized, maybe seasonally or per trimester. And also for the data about how many teachers are trained for holistic education, I don't have it in mind, but I will revert back to you. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary question.
Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, can the Minister state how the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award will be made accessible to students across all schools, irrespective of the socio-economic background? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Minister.
Can the Minister repeat the question, please?
Can the Minister state how the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award will be made accessible to students across all schools, irrespective of their socio-economic background? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
The Duke of Edinburgh International Award has been recently introduced to secondary schools, and even though it is being introduced to a smaller number of schools, our government is trying to make the Duke of Edinburgh Award accessible to all schools, irrespective of their socioeconomic background, because we do it free of charge. We have officers which are trained to do so, award leaders as we call it, in our ministry who do it free of charge, do expeditions free of charge. So this is the benefit our ministry is offering to the students. Thank you.
Next question, MP Duna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B12.
Minister of Health and Wellness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to begin with my take on a timeless Latin maxim. Ubi homo ibi societas, ibi us. Where there is man, there is society. Where there is society, there is law. This principle reminds us that the law does not exist in a vacuum. It exists because people live together in a society, and society has a duty to respond to when its members are vulnerable. Substance abuse is therefore not merely an individual problem. It is a societal concern that calls for a collective response grounded by compassion and justice. Mr. Speaker, sir, substance abuse remains one of the most pressing social and public health challenges of our time. The consequences are felt not only by the individual who is suffering, but also by a society deprived of their contribution and potential. More importantly, it robs people of what is often their most valuable asset, their future. That is why the fight against substance abuse is fundamentally a fight against the future of Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, the latest National Drug Observatory figures illustrate the scale of the challenge. In 2024, 1,081 drug-related admissions were recorded in public health institutions. The report also indicates that 500 new patients sought treatment through public addiction units, while 1,710 individuals received support under the methadone substitution therapy program. These figures are not merely statistics. While significant progress has been made through the measures already in place, these figures remind us that there is no room for complacency. The existence of treatment facilities is encouraging, but the number of people requiring them is the reminder that our efforts must continue to evolve in response to changing realities. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius has responded through a comprehensive public health approach. Through the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Institutions such as the Brown Sequard Mental Health Care Center, the Fragnipan Detoxification and Rehabilitation Center, and National Agency for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Substance Abusers provide treatment, rehabilitation, psychological care, and aftercare support aimed at reducing relapse and facilitating reintegration into society. The introduction of a treatment protocol for opioid and psychoactive substance use disorders has further strengthened this approach by promoting multidisciplinary and patient-centered care involving psychiatrists, psychologists, and addiction specialists working together to support long-term recovery. Alongside these initiatives, organizations such as the Dr. Indris Goumani Center and the Centre de Solidarité continue to make valuable contributions through rehabilitation, psychosocial support, and reintegration programs. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, an effective response to substance abuse cannot focus solely on the individual struggling with dependency. While one person may struggle with addiction, an entire household often lives with its consequences. Families bear the anxiety, the uncertainty, and the destruction that addiction leaves in its wake. Recognizing this reality, support frameworks increasingly include family counseling, support groups, psychoeducational programs, psychological assistance, and family reintegration services. These interventions help families cope with the challenges associated with addiction while enabling them to be a part of the recovery process. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to return to the words with which I began. Where there is man, there is society. Where there is society, there is law. But I would also like to add to that. Where there is suffering, society cannot be indifferent. Where there is vulnerability, society has a responsibility. And where there is hope for recovery, society must provide the means to achieve it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, MP, your supplementary question.
Can the Minister specify the number of dedicated rehabilitation places currently available, the average waiting time for treatment, and what additional support provided to affected families? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member,
Sir.
you can only ask one component per question. Please.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can the Minister specify the number of dedicated rehabilitation places currently available?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As per my information, per constituency, there is at least one center which is available for substance abuse victims. Thank you so much.
Yes, Member, a supplementary question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I ask the Minister whether there has been any study carried out for using cannabis as a substitute instead of methadone, even though cannabis is generally has less side effect to methadone?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The MP's question was not quite regarding substance abuse. Substance abuse, when we speak of substance abuse, it's about drugs in general and not necessarily about one specific kind of drug being replaced by another. So we try to focus on all types of drugs because they're all just as harmful for a person. Thank you.
Yes, MP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister has mentioned a lot of statistics about the substance
Member,
abuse.
please refrain from making statements. Put your question directly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. So my question would be, what measures are actually being taken to encourage young people suffering from substance abuse to seek treatment at an early stage without fear of stigma? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the second that we come to know that there is a problem and a person is going through drug addiction, immediate effect is taken. And for the question on what other things are being done, I would just like to say that for the support after treatment is also provided at 3 levels. First, patients benefit from aftercare and follow-up services, including continued counseling and monitoring to reduce the risk of relapse. Secondly, psychological and psychosocial support is made available to both patients and their family through counseling. Because, like we said earlier, families also go through the equal amount of pain that the victims go through. And thirdly, reintegration services help recovering individuals rebuild stability, reconnect with their communities, and resume productive participation in society. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, MP Ramchan.
B13.
Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank the MP for this important question. Mr. Speaker, sir, the figures speak for themselves. In 2025, 582,798 tons of waste were landfilled at Marsh Cruise, an increase of 17% as compared to 2024. This raises a fundamental question. How long can we continue treating landfill as the solution rather than treating waste itself as the problem? Regarding the projected lifespan of Marsh Cruise, no revised lifespan should be relied upon without an updated technical assessment incorporating the latest disposal figures. The government will therefore ensure that such an assessment is undertaken to establish the landfill's current remaining capacity. Monsieur le Président, nous devons regarder la réalité en face. The priority is therefore not simply to ask how much longer Marsh Cruise can operate, but how much waste we can prevent from reaching it. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government is already developing 2 regional integrated waste processing facilities at La Chaumière and L'Aventure, incorporating sorting, composting, and recycling with the objective of diverging a substantial portion of recyclable and organic waste away from Marsh Cruise. The public sector investment program specifically identified these facilities as a means of diverting recyclable waste from the landfill and promoting a circular economy. But infrastructure alone is not enough. What is the point of having a recycling facility if recyclable waste arrives mixed with everything else? This is why source separation is essential. The free-bin approach, separating organic, recyclable, and residual waste, must be properly implemented alongside these facilities with strong public participation and effective monitoring. At the same time, we must strengthen Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR. Mauritius already has the Waste Management and Resource Recovery Act 2023, and the government has been developing EPR mechanisms for different waste streams. Une politique n'est efficace que si elle est réellement mise en œuvre. The first priority is to conduct an updated technical assessment of Marsh Cruise based on the latest waste disposal data, so that we have a reliable understanding of its remaining capacity and we can plan accordingly. At the same time, we must accelerate the operationalization of the regional integrated waste processing facilities and strengthen source separation, particularly for the organic and recyclable waste, so that less material reaches the landfill. Finally, we must strengthen the implementation and monitoring of extended producer responsibility, ensuring that producers and importers take greater responsibility for the waste generated by the products they place on our market. To add, the government has set a target of 35% waste diversion by 2026 and 2027, and 70% by 2030. The direction is clear. We must now deliver. The 17% increase in waste sent to Marsh Cruise is a warning, but it is also an opportunity. Notre objectif ne doit pas être de trouver toujours plus d'espace pour nos déchets. Notre objectif doit être d'avoir toujours moins de déchets à enfouir. Mr. Speaker, sir, Marsh Cruise should ultimately receive only what cannot reasonably be reused, recycled, composted, or recovered. Our success should therefore not be measured by how much waste Marsh Cruise can hold, but by how much waste we succeed in keeping out of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, MP Ramchan, your supplementary question.
May I ask the Minister what percentage of total waste generated in Mauritius and roadworks is currently recycled and recovered?
Yes, Minister.
I do not have the specific information for this question. I will consult my ministry and revert back to the House.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Minister state whether the government will consider making household and commercial waste separation at source mandatory, and if so, within what time frame? Thank you.
So, So I think that it is mandatory for us to make it important that households follow this rule, because I think it is important
Minister,
for us as...
Please pose. Confusion on my behalf. The supplementary question is dismissed. A member of the government should not be able to ask another member of government questions. Any other supplementary questions? Yes, MP, your supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will government consider making household and commercial waste separation at source mandatory, and if so, within what time frame? Thank you.
Yes, Minister, your reply.
So I think it is important for us to carry out sensibilization programs with the population of Mauritius so that they can understand the importance of recycling, and they can understand the importance of reducing the amount of waste that we are sending to Marshcos. If these sensibilization programs, they do not work, and the population does not adhere to the rules that have been set by the government, I think legal actions such as fines should be implemented so as to instill a sense of responsibility in the population. While I do not have a clear date for when this can be implemented, I think that it will be implemented by the end of 2028. Thank you.
Yes, Opposition Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Minister has addressed the concern of a free bin system. How will the Minister sensitize the population on a global unanimous support on the free bin system when previous attempts of public support has been usually unsuccessful? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir, according to Standing Order 22, Section 1, Part 1, the MP is asking for the personal opinion of the Minister. Thank you.
Yes. Do you have another supplementary?
I am not asking the personal opinion. I'm asking how the implementation of sensitization towards the public on the free bin system will be implemented on the country. It's not an opinion, it's a matter of fact.
Okay, I got your point. No need for applause. Thank you. Yes, Minister, your reply.
Can I ask the MP to please specify a little bit more about his question, because I'm a little bit confused.
Opposition Whip, please be quick. We're running out of time.
Okay, I'm going to be really quick. Minister has addressed the fact of a free bin.
Put the question directly. Don't make any statements.
There's a free bin system. How will it be sensitized towards the public? Because previous attempts of public sensitization has usually been unsuccessful.
Yes, Minister.
Well, I think this is a very important question. Obviously, we have seen how sensibilization programs have not worked in the past, and I think it is important for us to be able to connect with the population and be able to put forward the points, the advantages and the disadvantages that brings forward by the amount of waste that is sent to Marshcos. I think sensibilization programs cannot always work, so I think this is why I have mentioned that we should also implement legal action, because obviously if sensibilization programs are not working, I think we should implement legal action such as fines, so that the population can understand the importance of adhering to the rules that has been set by the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Next question, MP Gopal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B14.
Minister of Public Services and Administrative Reforms.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the member for this timely and important question, I must say. The government firmly believes that public service is not merely about administration. It is about people. Every application processed, every certificate issued, and every citizen assisted represents a life waiting to move forward. When we modernize the public service, we improve the everyday lives of people. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am pleased to inform the House that the digital transformation of our public service is well underway. Among the major projects already implemented are MoPass, providing secure digital access to government services, MoCloud, enabling citizens to obtain official documents like birth certificates, marriage certificates online, and more than 100 e-services and e-payment facilities across government. Together, these initiatives are reducing paperwork, shortening waiting time, and bringing government services closer to the people. But digital transformation is an ongoing journey. Government continues to modernize public administration while exploring further reforms to strengthen transparency, accountability, and public trust. Modernization is not simply about replacing paper with computers. It is about replacing bureaucracy with efficiency, replacing uncertainty with transparency, and replacing frustration with trust. Mr. Speaker, sir, technology must also strengthen meritocracy within our public service. One reform I would strongly advocate is an AI-assisted recruitment platform. Artificial intelligence would assist, not replace, interview panels. It could transcribe interviews and produce structured assessments based on objective criteria. The panel would retain the final decision, but any significant departure from the assessment would require written justification. This would strengthen meritocracy, transparency, and public confidence, while keeping recruitment fair and accountable. Mr. Speaker, sir, digitalization must never become digital exclusion. Whether a citizen lives in Port Louis, Rodrigues, Agalega, Chamarel, or any rural village in Mauritius, every Mauritian deserves equal access to quality public services. The government must therefore continue improving digital infrastructure, strengthening digital literacy, and maintaining assisted service channels so that no Mauritian is left behind. Mr. Speaker, sir, technology is a tool. People are the driving force, and integrity is the foundation. So our commitment is not simply to digitize government, but to build a public service worthy of the trust Mauritians place in it. Mr. Speaker, governments are remembered not only for the policies they introduce, but for the lives they improve. Today, if you look around this chamber, you will see the opposition benches, you will see the government benches, you will see different visions, different ideas, and different opinions. But above all, you will see young Mauritians united by one shared purpose: to serve this nation with all our hearts. We may challenge one another across this chamber, but outside these walls, we remain united by one common purpose and one common goal. It's to build a stronger Mauritius for the generations to come. And to every Mauritian watching us live today, let this be our promise. The future of Mauritius is not waiting. It is being written right here in this chamber by the youth of this nation. And I assure you, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius is in safe hands. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, MP, your supplementary question. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, sir, well, a great speech from the MP. My question is, if digitalization is meant to serve everyone, what happens to citizens who cannot afford to go digital? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, government recognizes that digitalization must never become digital exclusion, as I said. This is why our approach cannot simply be to move services online and expect every citizen to adapt immediately. The government is supporting digital literacy while maintaining assisted service channels. I think that the member did not hear about this part. In Mauritius Post, we have people, we have technicians who help elderly people who do not know about technology that much to apply for government services, government procedures, and everything. So this is my answer for this. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, even when digitalized, the public service has massive administrative hurdles. How can the minister tackle all those hurdles?
Yes, Minister.
Look, when we're talking about digitalization, digitalization does not happen in 1 day, in 2 days, in 1 year. It takes time. And to be honest, it takes upskilling and reskilling of the public people, of the public officers of Mauritius. And it will happen gradually. In fact, in the budget, it has been stated that in this financial year, all of the planned government services, of the digitalization services will be happening. And I'm sure that at the end of this financial year, you will see a lot of change in the public services. Thank you.
Yes, MP, your supplementary.
What guarantees can the ministry provide that these reforms will benefit every citizen, regardless of their age, income, or digital skills? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister. Wait.
Once again,
That question of the same matter has already been asked by the other member. Does any other member have a supplementary question? Time is over for parliamentary questions addressed to ministers.
Statements by NYP ministers. Statements by NYP ministers, none. Motions.
MP Kaulisa Singh, your opening speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move the motion standing in my name, which reads as follows. The National Youth Parliament resolves that artificial intelligence be established as a strategic driver of the Mauritian economy, harnessing its economic, technological, and innovative potential, supported by a skilled national workforce capable of sustaining this transformation. Thank you.
Is the motion seconded? Government Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We stand today at the beginning of a technological...
Sorry, confusion on my behalf. MP Udav Kaulisa Singh, your opening speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a proud small island developing state, Mauritius has never derived its true wealth from physical scale, but from the agility, resilience, and ingenuity of our people. The proof of this lies in our economic trajectory. In 2025, our ICT sector generated an impressive 36.3 billion rupees in value added. This represents 5.7% of our gross value added and marks a 6.9% increase on the previous year. Mr. Speaker, sir, this sector is already a powerhouse, positioning us as a regional digital hub. But as digital trade redefines global commerce, adopting artificial intelligence is the vital engine needed to accelerate this growth. At the heart of this transformation stand the young people of Mauritius, Mr. Speaker, sir. Across our island, we have brilliant young minds, eager to contribute to a modern economy. Yet, we face real structural challenges, where job seekers struggle to match the demands of rapidly evolving industries. If Mauritius is to thrive, we must proactively invest in our human capital. We must equip our young men and women with advanced digital skills, embed technological literacy across all levels of education, and back our young entrepreneurs with the capital, incubation, and mentorship needed to build world-class ventures on our home soil. Beyond economic growth, building a forward-looking Mauritius requires fortifying our public institutions. Safeguarding our national digital infrastructure through robust cybersecurity is critical to protecting public trust. Mr. Speaker, sir, simultaneously, modernizing our public health and essential services by deploying smart, data-driven solutions to monitor health threats and manage critical resources ensures that every family in this country receives efficient and equitable care. Monsieur le Président, lorsque nous bâtissons une île Maurice sûre, technologiquement émancipée et résiliente, nous créons un environnement où nos jeunes n'ont plus besoin de chercher des opportunités à l'étranger, mais peuvent concrétiser leurs rêves ici même, chez eux. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, when we invest in artificial intelligence, we are not simply funding technology. We are directly investing in the potential, the dignity, and the future of the Mauritian youth. If we fail to act today, we risk leaving an entire generation stranded behind the global curve. But if we dare to empower our young people now, we give them the tools to shape a resilient, prosperous Mauritius that stands tall on the world stage. I call upon this chamber to act decisively and to vote in favor of this motion. With these words, Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend the motion to the National Youth Parliament. Thank you.
Yes, Government Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We stand today at the beginning of a technological transformation that Mauritius cannot afford to ignore. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant concept reserved for the largest economies in the world. It is already changing the way businesses operate, the skills employers demand, and most importantly, the nature of work itself. However, as we embrace artificial intelligence as a strategic driver of our economy, we must confront a difficult reality. Technological progress can create opportunity, but it can also displace workers whose skills are no longer in demand. The question before Mauritius is therefore, it is not whether AI will affect deployment. It already is. The real question is whether we will prepare our workforce before displacement occurs, or whether we will wait until Mauritians have already lost their jobs. Mr. Speaker, this issue is particularly significant for Mauritius. We are a small island developing state. We cannot compete with larger economies through physical scale, vast natural resources, or population size. Our greatest competitive advantage has always been our people, our resolve, our education and adaptability to develop new industries. The resolution recognizes that the ICT generated 36.3 billion rupees in value added in 2025 and represented 55.7% of gross value added. Yet at the same time, Mauritius has 33,300 unemployed persons in Q1 of 2026, while employers continue to report vacancies that they struggle to fill. Mr. Speaker, this reveals a fundamental problem. Unemployment is not simply a shortage of jobs. It is increasingly a mismatch between the skills people possess and the skills the economy requires. AI risks widening this gap. This is why our response cannot simply be to protect every existing job from technological change. Attempting to stop innovation would not protect Mauritius. It would make us less competitive while other nations move forward. Instead, Mauritius must focus on protecting its workers. The first priority must therefore be an early identification of technological displacement. Our resolution proposes strengthening the workfare program by recording when job displacement is due to technological change by conducting forward-looking tests on occupations most exposed to automation. This is essential. We cannot develop effective policy using assumptions imported from foreign studies. We need Mauritian data from Mauritian workers. Secondly, reskilling must begin before, not after, unemployment. If a worker only receives training after losing their livelihood, the system has already failed. Employers and educational institutions must identify emerging skill requirements and provide accessible pathways for workers to transition into areas where genuine demand exists. Digital literacy, AI literacy, and critical thinking should be embedded throughout school curriculums, whilst adult workers must have realistic and genuine opportunities to retrain throughout their careers. Mauritius must also create opportunities to use their new skills. Young Mauritians should not simply be trained to work with technologies developed elsewhere. They should be encouraged to build businesses, develop solutions, and create employment themselves. Mr. Speaker, Mauritius should neither fear artificial intelligence nor blindly celebrate it. If we do nothing, AI may deepen inequality, widen the gap between highly skilled workers and less skilled workers, and leave those displaced struggling to adapt. But if we act intelligently, AI can help us create more productive and innovative economy. The choice is ultimately not between AI and jobs. The real choice is between unprepared displacement of workers and a managed transition. Mauritius must choose a managed transition into AI. The future of work is coming whether Mauritius is ready or not. Our responsibility is to ensure that Mauritius is ready when it arrives. Thank you.
Opposition Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. To begin with, I started reading the resolution proposed by the state government over the recent days. At first, I was curious and ambitious by the ideas that the government were providing. Then, while reading through, I started losing that spark. And at the end, I didn't even dare print that said resolution. I believe that AI implementation to our modern Mauritian society is a fabulous idea. There's no left and right, there's no beating around the bush for this said idea. However, I do believe that the government is going towards the wrong direction. I have 4 issues right now which I would like to address in the House. The first issue which I have is that despite the government implementing a state-of-the-art technology to prevent water leaks across the country, my simple rhetorical thought that came up in my mind is that how on earth can you predict water leaks when there isn't any water itself being supplied in those same pipes due to the adverse low amount of water that we're receiving throughout the year? Why couldn't we use those said AI models in predicting cyclones or better water catchment areas? It would have been a great way in using our country's resources in such an adequate manner instead of wasting not only money but as well as water on something that's not yet an issue in our country. Second of all, when it comes to the resolution, a resolution should be representative towards the entire population. Mauritius is an Asian population, which contains a lot of senior citizens. Yet, while reading that said resolution, I do not see any ideas or proposals that refer to our aging population. For example, our aging population is mostly illiterate and also digitally and mediatically illiterate, in the sense that they were not exposed towards the media or the internet at a very young age like we are. So, what baffles me is that our government saw that our already aging population that is already constantly harassed by scammers and hackers online chose to write a resolution that did not include them. The majority of people that chose them to write these decisions. How can you expect to throw such an important member of society in the wild of what we call AI digitalization without any worry in the fact that they could be easily manipulated by those, say, AI machines? Furthermore, is the transparency in our parliament. Over the recent years, AI has implemented and changed the ways we talk in parliament. Another issue which we have is, how do I know that I'm standing here and the members of parliament are not using AI to dictate their ideas or motions throughout our assemblies? How can I be sure that this temple of democracy, or this temple in which we so-called present transparency, doesn't have a way to show that we are not using AI, which is not an elected member of parliament, by the way, to choose the future of our country? That's another issue. Finally, our government, something that really shamed me and which is why I'm addressing this, is the cybersecurity. While reading the cybersecurity motion and operative clauses in the resolution provided by said government, I was surprised by the fact that, one, there was no allocated budget and there was no sense of urgency towards that said idea. For example, cybersecurity over the years and in many other countries, we have seen increased amounts of unwanted child pornography, sexting, or even inappropriate prompts created by these said AIs to get political power or to just shame these people. How on earth could this government see children losing their lives, maybe the mental image, but even losing their actual lives on a daily basis, even without AI, and choose not to protect our children? This is a matter of national importance. How can you go and look at your brother and sister and say, we have no security measures towards you?
Member, you've asked a lot of rhetoric questions. It is an actual debate and not just asking a lot of rhetoric questions. Please go directly to the point.
My point is that while the government has ideas, I believe that it's not going towards the right direction. I believe that this government, and I'm going to say it again, that this government can do miles better with the ideas we have just proposed in this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Junior Minister, Foreign Affairs.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président de la Chambre, permettez-moi de commencer mon intervention en citant un extrait du journal Le Monde diplomatique du juillet 2026 sous le titre « Tout le monde déteste l'intelligence artificielle ». Et je cite, « Au moment où l'avant-garde du secteur intelligence artificielle, OpenAI Anthropic, annonce des entrées en bourse, le Wall Street Journal frissonne. La seule chose qui s'accroît plus vite que le secteur de l'intelligence artificielle, c'est peut-être le sentiment négatif des Américains à son égard. Ce sentiment de frayeur contre l'intelligence artificielle et l'automatisation est aussi bien présent parmi les Mauriciens, Monsieur le Président. Et l'incertitude est palpable dans le monde du travail. Des emplois considérés auparavant comme indispensables à l'intelligence humaine sont aujourd'hui menacés par l'intelligence artificielle. On parle de la litanie des suppressions des postes dans la finance, le conseil, l'ingénierie informatique, l'architecture, la programmation, ainsi que dans le monde de l'information, de la communication et des arts. Pire, dans l'ombre de ces professions, l'automatisation, de son côté, menace l'avenir des employés administratifs du privé comme du public. Incarnation de petites classes moyennes, souvent très féminisées, dont les fonctions dites support ou d'arrière-boutique, ce qu'on dit back-office en anglais, qui se trouvent confrontés à une vague de numérisation. Pour parer à cette vague de changement qui se déferle dans le monde du travail, les petits pays vulnérables tels que Maurice doivent prendre des décisions structurelles pour assurer la résilience et mieux soutenir cette transformation dans les différents secteurs. D'ores et déjà, d'après les chiffres officiels, le chômage est chiffré à 33 000 pour le premier trimestre de 2026, alors que dans certains secteurs, on constate une pénurie de main-d'œuvre et de professionnels. Le déséquilibre entre l'offre et la demande est flagrant. C'est dans cette logique que j'accueille favorablement le lancement en avril de cette année du National AI Strategy 2025-2029, qui est basé sur les piliers tels que la justice, la responsabilité et l'inclusivité. Concrètement, Monsieur le Président, je suggère des amendements au partie 7 du Workers' Rights Act de 2019 afin qu'on préconise des mesures de transition pour les employés qui sont impactés par l'intelligence artificielle et l'automatisation. Les amendements doivent inclure notamment l'enregistrement des pertes d'emplois directement ou indirectement liées à l'émergence de l'intelligence artificielle et l'automatisation. Des études au préalable chez les emplois menacés par cette transition est plus important. Des programmes de formation disponibles aux employés afin qu'ils puissent être rembauchés dans d'autres secteurs. En sus de ces amendements, je suggère aussi que les programmes scolaires reflètent l'enseignement sur l'intelligence artificielle afin de préparer nos futures générations aux défis de cette transition dans l'intelligence artificielle. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Minister of Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, artificial intelligence is already reshaping the way we live, we learn, and work. It brings real opportunities. Our goal here is to ensure that everyone is prepared to seize these opportunities. Technology will advance whether we like it or not, and whether we are ready or not. The real question is whether our people will advance with it. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is why education must be at the center of Mauritius' AI transformation. While employers continue, the urgency is clear. In the first quarter of 2026, 33,300 Mauritians were unemployed, while employers continue to report unfilled positions. This is not simply a question of job availability. It reveals a mismatch between the skills our people have and the skills our economy demands. And every month, that mismatch persists. Both sides lose. Job seekers without pathways and employers without the workforce they need to grow. Our government has already responded through our National AI Strategy 2025-2029 and Budget 2026-2027. We have committed to train and equip 50,000 Mauritians in AI and to introduce AI into our schools.
These are important beginnings, but AI will not disappear after 1 year, and neither should our commitment. That is why we propose that this commitment continue beyond its first year, and that AI education is progressively introduced into our national curriculum. Our youth should develop these skills during school, not scramble to catch up afterwards. But access must be equal. It should not depend on which school a child attends. This is why rural and underserved schools must be prioritized. Otherwise, we risk trading one divide for another. And training should not stop when we leave school. As AI reshapes work, we must identify the sectors most exposed and reskill our people before they are displaced, not after. Mr. Speaker, sir, some may argue that this is costly. Yes, indeed, it is. It is an investment. We must identify it is an investment. But the cost of inaction is higher. A widening skill gap, an economy less able to compete globally, and most importantly, a generation left to catch up rather than lead. Mr. Speaker, sir, the future is not ours to predict, only ours to prepare for. That is precisely what this resolution asks for us. Mr. Speaker, sir, as Minister of Arts and Culture, I believe these skills must not be reserved for programmers and engineers alone. AI is already changing how our artists view, create, and how we preserve our heritage. Our creative youth should not be spectators in this transformation, but participants in shaping it. To conclude, our goal is not simply to reach Mauritians to live alongside artificial intelligence. It is to give them the knowledge to understand it, the skills to use it, and the confidence to shape it. As a small island developing state, we cannot compete on size, but we can definitely compete on innovation, knowledge, and skills. If artificial intelligence is going to shape Mauritius' future, then every Mauritian deserves the opportunity to help them shape that future. Thank you, Mr.
MP Juhur Akil Khan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this country is in shambles. While the government presents this motion in the House with grand slogans and distant promises, the reality of artificial intelligence in Mauritius is far from being a glowing picture, transforming our economy. This motion indeed contains great ambitions, but listening to the members of the government side defending this resolution is like listening to a blind man telling a deaf man that he saw a mute man singing. Needless to say, it needs correction. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll first and foremost speak about Operative Clause 5, which in my opinion looks well and alive on paper. It does,
Member,
but...
please pause. Yes.
I would like to raise a POI, a point of order on this member on Section 40, Section 2. It says it shall be out of order to use unbecoming words or expression or to use offensive language about members of the Assembly. And he pointed out to this side, which is like the
Member,
government
okay.
side.
This point of order is dismissed.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll first and foremost speak about Operative Clause 5, which in my opinion looks well and alive on paper, but in reality might make the whole Republic fall deeper into the hole it is in already. The government wishes to integrate state-of-the-art technologies, which is in itself a very notable move. It is in itself. But the government should remember that the deficit is close to 16.2 billion rupees in the IT sector. It costs a fortune to even purchase this kind of technology, and let's not even speak about the upkeep cost. The tech snap is so sharp that the government's Wi-Fi seems to have gone into opposition. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll very quickly speak about one point, which is Clause 4, and calls upon public and private sector stakeholders to establish AI cybersecurity and resilience framework. Monsieur le Président, même si le gouvernement met en œuvre des centaines de cadres en matière de cybersécurité, Si ces mesures ne sont pas appliquées rigoureusement, elles resteront lettres mortes. But, Mr. Speaker, even when an individual is in the opposition, it does not mean that one has to criticize everything in the resolution, because I always say the government and the opposition should work closely when it comes to the lives of our beloved citizens. In fact, Mr. Speaker, what stands out is Clause 6, that recommends the implementation of a nationwide program for artificial intelligence and digital health innovation. Even though, Mr. Speaker, the main problem of our healthcare today is lack of doctors and, most importantly, sanitation. But nevertheless, one has to at least applaud the effort put in advancing our healthcare. Since we're dealing with the lives of our people, it is not a joke to be joked upon. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, to implement artificial intelligence into the country's daily business, one cannot forget the ecological impact that those data centers are going to make. I'm speaking of roughly 200 million liters of water being used up, and sometimes we cannot even keep up with the water demand of the population, since at 4 to 6 o'clock in the evening, you won't even have water to shower with. Now, how can we even not mention energy? Because the House knows that we already have massive energy production hurdles and load shedding. Finally, to conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, this resolution is in itself very promising. It is very promising in itself. But the state at which Mauritius is right now does not permit such grand dreams when we cannot even supply the power to turn on the lights to read it. Sur ce, Monsieur le Président, j'en ai terminé. Merci.
Thank you. Members, I suspend the sitting for 1 hour.